What are we talking about when we talk about an avant-garde? The word derives from French. Avant, before, garde, soldiers, troops. It refers to the scouts who go ahead to lead the way into battle. As a concept, it has numerous synonyms: cutting edge, progressive, pioneering, trailblazing, alternative, unconventional, up-to-date, novel, original, pioneering. All of these are familiar to us now because of what art and culture did with the idea of the avant-garde in the mid-19th century. Because this idea of an avant-garde becomes the central idea driving radical changes in art from the mid-19th century onward. From the time of Gustave Courbet, painting in the 1840s and 1850s, to Edgar Degas, painting in the 1860s and 1870s, to André Derain in the early 1900s, Sonia Delaunay in the 1910s to 1920s, and Kazimir Malevich in the 1910s to 1920s, Konstantin Brancusi, same time period, 1910s to 1920s. Look how stranger and stranger the art is getting. The avant-garde is getting more and more radical. All the way up until 1917, this is art. This is art in the 1950s with Lee Krasner. So if the avant-garde are the artists who are at the forefront of the troops leading the way, what's the battle? What's at stake? What's being fought for? The role of the avant-garde in art and culture is tied to the idea of progress, which was a key idea in Enlightenment Europe. The idea that knowledge, reason, learning would progress human life to a state of happiness, equality, and freedom. That belief in progress flourished in the 19th century, enhanced by the progress of science and technology. So artists in the 19th century who were self-consciously producing an avant-garde art, like Gustave Courbet, saw their artistic production as helping to push social and cultural change, to continue revolutionary struggle, to dismantle inherited injustices and falsehoods. The avant-garde was driven by dissatisfaction with established art and with the failures of the French and American revolutions to achieve their stated goals of equality and liberty. Avant-garde movements believe that visual representation shapes political representation, that they are both interlinked. They go together. So the first self-consciously avant-garde art movement, realism in France, coincides with an eruption of multiple forms of revolutionary struggle. Avant-garde artists take their chisels and palettes as if they can shape the world at a time when people are trying to shape a government that will work but that keeps falling apart. In 1830, France had seen the July Revolution when the very conservative authoritarian king, Charles X, was overthrown, replaced by his more liberal cousin, Louis Philippe, who promised to maintain a juste milieu, a middle way. But then in 1848, in February, the leading bourgeois political figures overthrew the king. We get a republic in France again. Then in June, the workers rise up and say they want some control over this new republic. They are brutally crushed. And then in December, there will be another revolution with Napoleon's nephew becoming president of the republic. And in 1851, he will suspend the legislature and will be back in a second empire. It is this atmosphere of struggle for change, an urge to create change, and an ever more radical sense that change must be so thorough that it must go all the way to people's minds and hearts and consciousness in order to break through. And art is going to do that.